All right, Martin, thanks for joining us. It's been a tough week for Leyton Orient Football Club and the wider footballing world. Tell us a little bit about the Justin Edinburgh that you knew.
Yeah, it's been a dreadful week. You know, it's been a period that I've never ever faced in my football career. It's something that you don't get a manual on how to deal with, but you deal with it the best way you can, and deal it with Justin always in your thoughts. And my memories is, you know, from a first time I met Justin was in 1986. Actually, he was a 17-year-old scholar, apprentice in them days at Southend. I was a 21-year-old pro that had just been bought there, and he used to clean my boots, and got brought over to train with us a few times. And what I see then, I see throughout Justin's life. You know, he was determined, honest, professional, liked to have a laugh and a joke, like we all do. He was solid in dependable in everything he did, and everything he did, he done to 100%. And you know, that went throughout his life. You know, when I look at, you know, you talk about your lasting memories and the last, you know, 17 months where our paths crossed again. You know, after all them years, I'd come across Justin and played against his teams and went out to drink with him after games. But you know, we wasn't close friends. You know, we was ex teammates. We had respect for each other. But when he come here, we become close again. And them values that I talked about there was just shown over that 17-month period to move this club, you know, so much forward, and people wanted to go. What I would say to Justin, if he was in a trench and he wanted people to go over the wall into the fight, he was the leader that took you there, and people just tagged onto that, and that showed on our football pitch. You know, and you know, the family, Kerry, Charlie, and Sydney. You know, I've sort of spoke to them on a daily basis over the period, and Kerry and the kids come in last week, which was tough last Friday. But you know, I just said to them is that there'll always be a part of Justin that lives within me, because his stamp is over this football club, and what he's done previously, he's never going to be forgot by me or the board or anybody else. But what would Justin want us to do going forward is the question. And the question is, he want us to get our head down, do the best we can for the club, for his family, and move on whilst remembering. And whenever I'm doing something and my mind slips into sadness about Justin, I just sort of click back and say, what would he expect from me? What would he be saying to me now? And I use that as a avenue to keep moving this club forward, because I think otherwise we're doing his memory a disservice.
And it is now the unenviable task of trying to, you know, take this club forward. And the decision has been made to appoint Ross Embleton as interim head coach, Danny Webb as interim assistant coach, and Joe McAnuff as interim player coach. What was the thinking behind that? Yeah,
the thinking behind that is that the impossible job is to follow Justin in these circumstances. But is there a perfect answer? No, there isn't. The perfect answer is Justin's still with us and Justin's leading us. But the next nearest perfect answer is to move people that served under Justin, that know what we was about and how we do things, on an interim basis, to give this club a bit of breathing space, to give them people a bit of breathing space. And Ross, Danny Webb and Joby McAnuff knew what Justin was about, knew what his football club's about. So on an interim basis, I think that is the best thing that we can do at this moment of time. We've got to suffer the grieving, and we've also got to move forward. And the best way to do that is to do it with people that are entrusted to us. They're part of our family, and they know what we need as a football club, what our what our way forward is, and I think for this time and this time is as long as interim. You can write interim and write it small, or you can write interim and make it long, and that's the beauty of interim, is that we can use that to whatever we believe is the right time if we need to change it going forward. But the big thing is that the opportunity for Ross, Danny and Joby is to continue the brilliant work that Justin has done, and I don't think there's anyone from the outside that could come in at this moment in time and do that.
And I mean, you've known Ross for a number of years now. For however long this interim period might last, whether it's a short term or potentially turns into a longer term decision, do you believe that Ross has the capabilities to be successful in that role?
Yeah, I think without a shadow of a doubt. I've known Ross since he was 20. I actually moved him into my staff while I was first team manager here previously, and he's worked for me at Swindon. And I've got no hesitation that Ross can step up and do the top job. But the caveat to that is I don't want anyone being judged during this period that then can be surplus to requirements. So I've known Ross as a friend, as a work colleague, 32 years. And Danny Webb and Joby is, if it doesn't work out, then there's an opportunity for them to step back down where they worked last year. But can Ross do it? Without a shadow of a doubt. It takes me back to my own tenure at this football club, where I took the job. It was on a caretaker basis. Caretaker changed over, or interim, whatever you want to call it. It was a caretaker in them days, and Barry Earn said to me, I don't really want you. I want a senior person in. I don't really want to move it down again. And my attitude was, I'll show that you want me. And during that caretaker period, I earned the right to then be called manager. And I hope that's how it goes for Ross, and I believe it's inside him to do that. And my caretaker period lasted for 5 years. So that's why I say interim can be written short or long. It's just it's an holding base at the moment. I ain't denying that, and I don't think any of the people that are in them positions would deny that. But with Ross's leadership, Danny's leadership, and Joby McAnuff coming across as a coach as well, leadership. Joby was all but a coach last year. He was a coach in everything apart from taking any coaching, but he was involved in a lot of the meetings with the younger players. So fetching Joby across and that experience, I think there's a good team. I'm really comfortable with the team of Ross, Danny and Joby. And I really hope for Ross that he did what I did and takes the ball by the horns. But if it doesn't work out that way, we won't be chucking the baby out with the bathwater, as they say.
And Ross now inherits a squad that is one Macaulay Bonne down, but up with Josh Wright and Connor Wilkinson. Just talk us through the decisions. One for Macaulay Bonne to leave to go to Charlton, and two for Connor Wilkinson and Josh Wright to come into the building.
Yeah, I've heard some things said about Macaulay Bonne. Let's get it straight. A year ago, I sat down with Macaulay Bonne when he had a year left on his contract. We had offers of 6 figures for Macaulay Bonne at that time. But I pulled Macaulay Bonne in and said, we've had offers, because they know. It's no good denying it, they know. And he said, I said, would you sign a non-contract, a new contract? And he said, I would sign a new contract with a release clause. So I said, well, if you give me another year like you've just given us, the first year, and it takes us up, then I'd be more than happy to put that release clause in there for you, because any time that a Championship club, a Premier League club come calling for our players, 9 times out of 10 we're going to have to sell them. You may hold them for a year, because it was Championship clubs for Macaulay last year, but he give us another year's service. He come here for nothing. He got us out of the league. He was top scorer 2 years on the trot, and we made a nice profit on him. So it's always sad when a player of that ilk go, but it ain't sad when they go to a championship side and they move on to bigger and better things, because we are Leyton Orient. We're never going to be able to hold on to players if Premier League or Championship clubs come calling for them. And it's down to us, me, Steve Foster and the coaching staff, to replace them players with players from the outside, or develop our own players within the building like we've done many times before. So, you know, hence Connor Wilkinson comes in, a lad that we nearly signed in January with Justin at the helm at the time. At the time we chose to go with Jay Simpson and pulled out the deal with Connor Wilkinson really late. But now the opportunity come to me again, that he had a release clause in his contract that we activated, and then he signed for us from Dagenham. And the reaction from the Dagenham people has been just what I wanted, that we took their best player. How did they put a clause in the contract the same as I put a clause in from Macaulay Pond? It comes down to sometimes you put clauses in contracts to hold them on to do the job. Macaulay Pond did it. We've brought Josh Wright in. That was a total Justin signing. You know, Justin had worked with him previously. He was his number one target all summer, and if the truth be known, the deal for Josh Wright was sorted out before Justin sadly passed away. And you know, it fitted all the bits that we needed. We needed midfield players to replace people like Liam Lawless and Josh Wright, and you know, they're two pieces of the jigsaw that have gone in. Whenever I do a squad, I always call it evolving, and the reason I call it evolving is because I don't know what I'm going to walk into at 9 o'clock in the morning. There may be an offer on the table that we can't turn down, and it has to be evolving. But we've got a process here where if people go out the building, we've got a list of people to come in the building, and that will always be the case. And I've got confidence in the recruitment of this club, which is led by me. I ain't going to deny that. I am in charge of the recruitment, along with Steve Foster, who's the chief scout, along with the head coach, and Ross is abreast of all this. I don't go and sign players individually. We have a recruitment meeting and we pull people in. Can we improve these players? Can we make them better? If we make them better, then we will be better. But if there comes a time at the end of that where we're not big enough for them to stay with us, i.e. Macaulay Bond, then sometimes you have to move on, and I will bring another player for the fans to love again.